Hello everybody and welcome back. My name is Winback, and on today's episode of our Grim Dawn Newcomer's Guide, we'll be looking at Kaisan, the Eldritch Scion, the big nemesis boss for the Eldritch Horrors, who is a lot less cool looking than some of his counterparts, but that's cool. He's just as dangerous. He's still a nemesis boss, and this is still a YouTube video, so feel free to tickle that like button. Leave a comment down below and subscribe your heart out so we can start talking about this big green sword-handed menace. Now, as far as locations for this boss go, there are going to be quite a few of them. Let's see, there are... Sorry, counting is difficult. There are at least 11 different locations for the Scion here, and the unfortunate part of them is that they are going to be a little bit of roundabout guesswork. But the good news is that there is no key dungeon that you'll get trapped in trying to search for this boss, so that is a positive. But let's go ahead and get into the locations themselves. The easiest one to start with is the Basalt Crags. So the Basalt Crags is going to be a location that is unfortunately split into two places, but is right around the Conclave of the Three, and that in and of itself makes it easy to get to and easy to check. Where is it? The Vanguard of the Three. Sorry, Conclave of the Three is the starting location for the Act 7 areas, but the rift that you need is the Vanguard of the Three. The first location for the Basalt Crags is to the left of, not the left, it's the west. The west of the Vanguard of the Three rift. It's a small area. You can just check that one off your list real quick, and then once you are done there, the Basalt Crags are going to continue on, but they are going to be north of the Vanguard of the Three rift, so you'll have to do some easterly travel, wrap around this small location until you get to the next rift gate, and we can check that one as well. Oh my god, that is going to be your Ruins of Abid rift, which is also on the list, so you'll actually just go right through the Ruins of Abid, check off any Kaisan locations there that you have, and then continue on searching through the Basalt Crags. So those will continue all the way up to the Infernal Waste Rift, but the areas are pretty large, so the enemies that you'll face in doing so as well are pretty tanky, and they come in pretty significant groups. So clearing will be a little bit slow unless you are geared up to the teeth or built for dealing damage to these types of enemies, but the search itself is rather difficult. In my opinion, for my build it was anyway. It was very time consuming. I don't want to say difficult because death wasn't a huge deal, but walking in circles and wasting time certainly was. Now, after the Basalt Crags and the Ruins of Abid are out of the way, there are a number of tombs in the Act 7 map location that Kaisan can spawn in. Those being the Temple of Atef, the Tomb of Ariath, the Tomb of Nephos, and the Tomb of Saithon. The Temple of Atef is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but these are always spawning in different locations, not different locations. These are always spawning at different times. Typically, I won't have access to one or the other, but they may be driven by some mission that I haven't done. But in this particular playthrough, we've got the Temple of Atef to check off, so we're going to venture down there. It is a 2-floor side dungeon, very small, so you'll know right away if you find the big boy in there, but it is not, well, it's not difficult to check off the list. But the further exploration that you do, you'll find the Temple of Saithon, which is further up the mountain towards the Infernal Waste Rift. I call it a mountain. It's more of a volcano, but everything's on fire, so I'm sure you can understand my confusion. Now, the Infernal Wastes Rift will take you, if you walk westerly, you'll find the Tomb of Saithon, and from there, it is it's a one-floor dungeon, so, well, it does have a second floor, but this particular floor will be the only one that you need to check. So once you're down in there, check it off the list. You'll be able to see him pretty quickly if you do, because it is, well, it's not the biggest thing in the world, but it's also not small. So a little bit of walking will find him out for you, which will be nice and easy. Now that we've got that one checked off the list, we have the Tomb of Nephos. These are going to mess with my mouth, and that is not a sentence that I wanted to say. So, thank you. Thank you, Grim Dawn. Oh boy, we lost the map. Let's get back there. There we go. Everything is working out easier. Perfect. So the tragic part of the Act 7, the Eldritch Horrors Nemesis boss is that the entire area for this place is enormous. And I guess that's fine, considering that the location itself is, it's all about Act 7, and you gotta basically reinvent the wheel when it comes to this part of the game. But the searching that you're due is absolutely just gigantic, mammoth in stature, huge in every way. You take Gloomwald, you take Ugnabog, you stick them together, and then you pump them up with a ton of steroids, and then you're still not even close to the size of Act 7. It is crazy how large this place can be. But all that being said, the tombs will all have basically activators. So when you get to a tomb, you'll know if it's open for you to go into, because the entrance will be blue. If it's not blue, then you're not going to be able to get into it. There are also multiple locations for the spawn of the Tomb of Saithon. One is to the north of the Infernal Waste Rift. One is to the southwest, because there is no southeast of the Infernal Waste Rift. My apologies. There are also massive amounts of monster shrines in this area of the game because it's so big, so kind of a bright side, But hey. Anyway, so as far as the tombs go, you'll find the locations. You'll get in them. You'll find them as they spawn, and then you can check them off the list. Again, it's mostly, for all of these, a 1 or 2 floor dungeon that you can knock out very quickly just by popping in, checking your minimap, and seeing what's going on. The Remnants of Corvin City are the next on the list, and you'll catch those walking upwards, or walking north of the Corvin City Rift. A lot of these areas are going to have their own rift gates too, which make them particularly easy to traverse. So thank God for that. But the Corvin City Rift you can check off pretty quickly. There are, it looks like, at least a couple different locations that he can spawn in, and since it's I would say large-sized, you'll do a little bit of trekking, basically from the Corvin City Rift all the way to the top of the map, and that will be everything that you need to check off the list to see if Kaisan is in the area. Nextly, let's see what we've got here. There is the Valley of the Chosen. Now, the Valley of the Chosen is a, it does have its own rift gate. Again, you should be able to see it on the overall world map, so you can get there really quickly. And then this is where you're going to find the Tomb of Atef and the Tomb of Nephos. Both of those are going to be located in the Valley of the Chosen, as well as the Path of the Damned, even though I don't think the Path of the Damned is one of the locations that we have to worry about, which it is not. But anyway, that being said, that location will check off a number of your other listy stuff, as well as your tombs. And then finally, if we don't have that, we can move on to the Tomb of the Eldritch Sun. Oh no, and that's not even the last one. The Tomb of the Eldritch Sun is a, it's a 3-level... Well, It is a 3-level dungeon that does have its own rift gates. Again, most of these do have rift gates or rift gates close by, so they're very easy to get to. It's just traversing them that becomes a little bit of a problem if you don't have those rift gates already done. So do yourself a favor, do a lot of exploration with this area while you are leveling, and try not to get too frustrated when you're doing the searching. But the final location will be the Astral Fields. The Astral Fields is the last little before you go to fight Korvac, there is a small strip of Eldritch Zone that you go through, and that is the Astral Fields. So basically what you'll do is head over to where the Korvac boss fight happens, and then make your way through the Astral Fields. If he's there, you'll know it, but you will have to trek from bottom to top because it is a much longer area than it is large. So good stuff all around. Lots of walking to do to check on this particular boss. But all that out of the way, let's talk about the monster himself. Kaizon, the Eldritch Scion, he doesn't have any hands. So right off the bat, he's at a bit of a disadvantage. Or maybe an advantage, depending on your point of view. He is going to have all of the normal nemesis resistances, so we don't need to talk too much about that. But again, CC immunity, resistance to health reduction, pretty big stuff. His main resistances are going to be to fire and vitality, as well as piercing damage, it looks like. My favorite, again, with the vitality resistance, really just getting me right in the bits. But he also has decent resistances to everything else. So a lot of the damage that you're going to do to this character is, you're going to have to try pretty good to make it stick. All that being said, he does have about 3.6 million health, but unlike our last couple bosses, he only has one phase, so we don't have to worry about him respawning. Now, all that being said, he is going to do, it looks like, mainly lightning and acid and physical damage. So make sure your resistances are nice and maxed out. And again, I don't know that there is specifically any one ointment that I would choose, or any one ointment or elixir that I would choose for this boss, but I just kind of checked all the boxes, clicked them all on that I had in my inventory, and it seemed to work out pretty okay for me. He does have charges on his auto attack, which are going to ramp up, dealing physical lightning damage, as well as a reduction to your enemies, or a reduction to our health from anywhere between 18 to 50%. And then he is also going to take 1,000% of that damage and convert it into health. So considering he has 3.6 million, it's probably still just a drop in the bucket for him, but, you know, vampirism is vampirism, you know. So he also has an AoE on his auto attack, which is going to do cold and lightning damage if he manages to hit you. So if you are playing with pets, that's obviously going to be a little bit difficult to deal with. He also fires it's a lightning bolt. It's a green lightning bolt dealing acid and lightning damage, which is really cool. I wish it was an ability that I could, it may be on some gear that I haven't found yet. But anyway, it is going to slow you. It's going to deal lightning and acid, hence the green and the lightning. And it is, it's got a decent range to it. It's got a very, very long range to it. So even if you are trying to kite him around, running away from him, he will lightning blast your ass from the great beyond. And then once that does hit you, it sends off a Nova, which is going to deal lightning and acid and reduce your resistances. So all in all, pretty crazy ability, but it doesn't stun you like Valderon's does. So you don't have to worry as much about it. You're just going to be slowed. So using your movement abilities will be very important for this boss. He does summon Eldritch Shards, which I did not have a whole lot of trouble with. Now, they are going to do lightning and acid damage. They're going to reduce our resistances as well with their attacks. But ultimately, since they don't do a lot of CCing, they weren't a huge issue for me. They do ultimately reduce your health by a percentage. They're dealing acid damage. They're going to be reducing your defensive ability. And ultimately just kind of being a nuisance, but, you know, as long as it's not exploding and instantly killing me like a Benjar mine or freezing me forever like a moose mine, I'm not super concerned about it. To be honest, this boss wasn't as difficult as I imagined he would be. Obviously, if I didn't have all of my ointments and potions and stuff going, that may be a different opinion, but still. I was pleasantly surprised by how simple this was to take him down. And then lastly, he has got what's called a projectile burst. Is that too technical? Anyway, he's got projectiles that do lightning and acid damage as well. These have physical, lightning, acid. They have increased crit damage, and they have a chance to blind you as well. So there's 3 projectiles. If you are dodging or kiting as well as you need to be, though, it shouldn't be too difficult to get away from this big boy. The only other trouble that I ran into when doing this boss fight is that I had to go back to look for his nemesis trove, his boss chest, basically. So when you kill the boss, make sure that you go look for that, because this will spawn where he initially spawns. So wherever you had the fight, stick around where that was. If you had to do a lot of kiting like I did, and then you'll eventually find it. But I personally had to go run forever and a year up into the to the right on the map to find it. It was hidden in a little camp. Fucker trying to get one over on me even after I kill him. So anyway, that is it. Sorry for the rushed quality on this one. I didn't have time to put together a script, but I did want to get it out. So we are done for this week with Kaisan the Eldritch Scion, and then we will be back next week to finish up the Nemesis bosses, and then, well, depending on which ones that we're on, I think that there's still quite a few left. But once the Nemesis bosses are done, we'll head on to the Celestial bosses, and then we'll round out this whole guide, because I vastly underestimated the time commitment it would be on this boss, but on these bosses. But thanks so much for hanging out, guys. I will see you next time. Ta-ta.